I want to talk about grieving the life you didn't get. This is something that so many of us experience, yet it is very rarely talked about, so it can so easily be overlooked, misunderstood, or dismissed. The realization that your dreams are no longer possible can be so earth-shattering and can leave you feeling hopeless with a lack of trust in what is possible for your future. So I also want to talk about some of the steps you can take in order to move forward after experiencing such grief. But let's first talk about some of the examples of possible unmanifested desires or experiences that a person could be grieving. One example is a person who strongly desired children and could never have them. Another is a person who sacrificed their dreams to raise their children. It can also be a person who had an unhealthy and or traumatic childhood that affected them so significantly that the effects have gone into their adulthood and they're not okay. Another could be not getting the dream job or life-changing promotion or income. It can also be a person whose life was limited because of lack of money and or lack of some form of needed or necessary support. And another example is a person whose life was limited because of some form of sickness or disability. Now, some of the reasons that this could have not transpired could be because of a choice that you made and or because of an action that you took or you didn't take. It could also have been because of someone else's choices or actions that you had no control over. Or maybe you did everything that you possibly could. You dotted all your I's, you crossed all your T's, you worked really hard, and any and everything that you were told that you could do to manifest this, you did it to your greatest ability. But for some reason or another, it just never came to pass. Once you realize that your desires are not going to happen, it doesn't make your longing for those desires go away. Rather, the desires are now accompanied with emotions such as disappointment and pain, and may now trigger emotions like intense yearning or jealousy because you see others experiencing and enjoying the desires that you had and didn't get. And this can lead to anger and depression. And I wanted to let you know that it's okay that you feel this way. And it's okay to honor these feelings. It's okay to cry and mourn the death of the dream desires. It's okay to release the part of you that is so full of hope and promise for its manifestation. It's okay to honor the part of you that feels forgotten, that feels neglected, that feels left behind, overlooked, and or not worthy or valuable or good enough to have received these desires. Go ahead, cry it out. Feel the pain. Write it out. Scream, yell, punch a pillow. Do whatever you need to do to allow yourself to honor what you feel. And honor each experience of release, no matter how big or how small. Each release will cause the intensity of the pain to wane, and you will begin to start feeling more relieved. You will begin to start feeling more free and lighter, and you will begin to be able to surrender to and accept what is. Okay, so we have allowed ourselves to mourn, and now we have accepted that it is what it is. So now what? How do we move forward? How do we continue to heal so that we don't become angry and bitter and our heart doesn't become cold, and so that we don't stop trusting in ourselves and we don't stop trusting in Source and we don't stop trusting in all of the wonderful opportunities that life does have for us? Well, you may want to start by looking at why your desires didn't manifest. And if you find that it resulted from your choices, your actions, and or lack of action, it could really benefit you to take the time to figure out why you made that choice, why you took that particular action, or why you failed to take that particular action. If you find that it was because of an unhealed aspect of yourself, then now is the time to take the time to heal it. If you find that it was because of an underlying fear, take the time to face and overcome that fear. Otherwise, it could be a reason that usually comes with a lesson that enables you to change and grow for a little bit the better. In this case, get the lesson. If you find that your choice, action, or inaction was due to any of these reasons that I just mentioned, then this step is an important step for you. Because this change is necessary. And if you do not make this necessary change, you will find that life will continue to bring you similar situations that provide you with the opportunities to make this change. And you will not break this vicious cycle until you do. Now, for those of you whose reasons are due to things that were outside of your control, you could look at it from a different perspective. And a major part of this perspective is trying to remember that what we know and what we can see is very limited compared to the grander scheme of life. So maybe your desires didn't manifest because they were never meant to be a part of your experience. One reason for this could be that had you experienced your desires, they would have caused some sort of hurt or pain or traumatic experience for yourself or others, therefore creating a certain level of regret for ever having the desired experience at all. And in this aspect, you not receiving your desires is literally Source saving you from yourself. It's a blessing in disguise. Or maybe when you were creating your life plan, for whatever reason, your desires were something you decided you didn't need to experience in this lifetime, or that you just didn't want to experience. And of course, once you passed the veil of forgetfulness, when you were born, you didn't remember this. And now that you are here living this life and seeing other people having and enjoying the experience of your desires, you're wanting to experience that desire too. But remember, when you were making your life plan, you had particular goals in mind, such as your life purpose, as well as other things that you wanted to experience. And so you already have this plan before you get here, and the universe has already agreed to conspire in supporting you in achieving the things in this plan. So if your particular desires are not a part of this plan, and or may take you off track from the experiences in this plan, these desires, technically, no matter how good they may feel to have them, may not be for your highest and greatest good, because having them would take you off the course of your plan. On another note, maybe you already had multiple experiences of your desires in prior lifetimes. So in this lifetime, you decided to experience the opposite of those desires in order to grow, learn, and or develop in a different way. Or maybe you have a soul contract with someone in your life, and this contract for some reason does not allow you to experience these desires, or the contract is preventing your desires from manifesting until the contract is complete. And lastly, maybe experiencing your desires would have left you feeling more unfulfilled because they didn't meet or fulfill your true underlying desire. In this case, I would suggest to dig deeper and find out what the true underlying desires are that you're wanting to experience. Is your true underlying desire the experience of freedom? Or is it the experience of peace? Or safety? Or security? Or love? Or joy? So for example, if your underlying desire is freedom, and you are desiring money to give you that experience of freedom, it's not guaranteed that you will attain that freedom through money. Rather, you may find that instead of giving you the experience of feeling free, the money actually gives you the experience of fear because you now have more people and things to lose. Or the money may give you the experience of having more obligations and responsibilities than ever before, thus causing you to feel trapped rather than free. Another example is if your underlying desire is being loved, and you desire to become a parent so that you can receive that love from your child. However, your child could grow up to resent you because you actually created an unhealthy relationship dynamic of expecting your child to fill your personal void of the lack of love when it was never their job to fill that void. It was your responsibility to fill your own void by genuinely loving yourself. So once you determine what the true underlying desire is, you can then begin to figure out the best and healthiest way to attain your true desire. And don't forget, you can accompany this step with prayer. You can pray for the insight and the clarity as to what your true underlying desire is, or your desires are. And you can ask for the guidance on the best way to attain them. So now that we know and understand the reasons why our desires do not manifest, we can take the next step towards our freedom and healing. And this step is the act of forgiveness. Forgive yourself or whomever for the choices, actions, or lack thereof that were made that prevented you from experiencing your desires. During this process, it may help to try and remind yourself that a person does the best they can with who they are and what they know in the moment of a situation. And also, you can remind yourself that if a person intentionally hurt you, they themselves must either be hurting or full of fear. So, taking their personal experience of hurt or fear into perspective may help you to have sympathy for them. And this will allow you to give them grace. And it will allow you to give yourself freedom through the release of your anger, pain, and or resentment. So now that we have grieved our unexperienced desires, identified how and why they did not manifest, began the process of healing, of learning, and growing in the areas necessary, and we took the time to forgive, we may start to feel ready to move forward in the promise of our today and tomorrow. It is during this step that you may find it hard to regain hope, trust, and belief in any of your future manifestations. If this is the case, there's a couple important facts that you may need to remember. Number one, we are here on this planet with other living beings that, like ourselves, have free will, and our choices, actions, and decisions affect each other. This will sometimes cause you to have to experience something you'd rather not, and there's nothing you can do about it. It just is what it is. Now, is there always an underlying reason behind it? More than likely. But even with that knowledge, sometimes the only thing you can do is to acknowledge it, accept it, and move on. The key, though, is to not allow it to change you in a way that will block and or prevent the amazing experiences that are meant for you, and that are waiting for you from getting to you. So in this cases, it may help to surrender and trust that despite all, Source is. And that Source loves you. And it wants the best for you. And it desires only those things for you that are for your highest and greatest good. So it is safe to continue to trust in Source. Continue to trust in the life journey that Source has for you. Continue to trust in all that Source is in and as your journey. and continue to trust in all that Source is in and as you. You are infinitely and unconditionally loved by Source. To Source, you are always more than enough and worthy and deserving of all good things. Okay, let's just take a pause. Let's take a moment. Let's take a deep breath. Let's touch our hearts and let's allow that truth to sink in. Okay. So now that we have reminded ourselves of our beautiful, beautiful connection to Source, we can now feel safe enough to go into prayer and ask Source to remove all of our desires from our hearts that we are not meant to experience in this lifetime, and to remove all of our desires from our hearts that are not for the highest and greatest good of ourselves and everyone involved. Now we can ask Source to replace those desires with the desires that are. This beautiful yet simple prayer will not only save you from any future disappointment related to not experiencing desires that were never meant for you in the first place, but it will also allow you to begin to feel safe in trusting that your heart's desires are now things that you can experience. And so the next step can be saying a prayer for the guidance of who you need to say, do, or be in order to manifest your desires, as well as praying for anything else that may be needed, such as courage, money, time, resources, people, freedom, opportunities, etc. Like whatever else may be needed in order to manifest these desires, you can pray for them to come to you in perfect timing and in perfect ways. Next, you can then start to both claim and feel the excitement and gratitude of already having the living experiences of your desires. And then the next step is to be open, receptive, and obedient to the guidance that you receive. Lastly, you must surrender and trust in what the manifestation looks like, knowing that you will only experience the outcome that is for the highest and greatest good of yourself and everyone involved. Remember, Source has an infinite amount of ways that it can fulfill your underlying desires. So try not to limit what Source can do for you by adamantly holding on to what you believe your desired outcome should look like. By doing so, you could be energetically blocking the amazing things that Source has for you. By surrendering the outcome to Source, you may find that Source's way of fulfilling your desires, though different from your own, is actually the best way for you. And you may also find that Source's way may open doors to other desires that you may have, and or fulfilled desires that you didn't even know you would have. So allow yourself to surrender to how and what Source has for you, because Source could fulfill your desires in ways far above and beyond anything that you could even imagine. I really hope this message has helped you today. And I pray that through this message, you have found clarity and some form of guidance on how to move forward after your experience of grief and disappointment. Please comment below if this message resonated with you in any way. And also, please feel free to share if you've done anything else that has helped you during your grief and healing process. Until then.